Done. All right. 3, 2, 1. Danny Killion. All right. So in the past year or so, you're like one of my favorite people to talk to because you're always happy, positive. You always got something to say, and you're always out there doing some woodwork and shit, right. and welding and spot welding. I love seeing that man who works with his damn hands. And you made these dope ass tables, which I will cherish forever. Right on. So you're one of the kindest people that I run across around here. Okay. But you robbed banks. Like a bank robber.
Yeah, like a bank robber.
I've been waiting for a while till you tell me these stories. Robbed, past tense.
It's funny that you mentioned my personality and how it contrasts to the idea of a bank robber. And we always have a lot of stigmas in our minds about anybody. You assume that someone who's a criminal who would like stick up an establishment or a bank like that would be a bad person or just a nasty, unpleasant person. And from my time being incarcerated, that's the farthest thing from the truth. Now, don't get me wrong. There's people in prison that should definitely be in prison. But the majority of people that end up breaking the law, surprisingly, are really good people. I know guys that are murderers that are some of the best guys that I know that give their shirt off their back. So there's a lot of stigmas, especially amongst people who never imagine breaking the law. I drive regularly around Troy, and if it's a one-way, but it's not convenient for me to go around, I'm going down that one way. If you don't like it, that's your issue. The traffic laws, in my opinion, are for other people. I feel like there's a lot of gray areas in regards to the laws that I need to follow.
We are very simpatico here. I have always said I follow the laws that I agree with. There's some I'm just
that can get real sketchy though because what makes a serial killer is he just decides that for whatever reason it's okay for him to murder to satisfy what he needs. He's just made that decision in his or her own head. I don't know if you've ever seen the film Monster, but she just said, people are shitty. And she was like a street prostitute. She was played by Charlize Theron.
So when she got real ugly.
So she got real upset, and the guy tried to just abuse her and like punch her in the face, and she got his gun and killed him. And the feeling she got was amazing. So she would just kill all these Johns. She killed 7 Johns, and she tells the story of how she just decided the world is an ugly place, and it's been bad to me, so I'm going to be bad back to it. Once you make that decision that you only have to follow so many laws, it's a slippery slope.
Let me expound on that. I had to first establish a very solid moral and ethical
That's very
base
important.
of who I am.
That's very
and then I cherry pick. And then I'm like, you know what? I like weed.
Who stops?
Fuck you. I want to smoke a plant. I want to burn a plant and inhale it. Stop me, please.
Right.
And then driving down the wrong way on a one-way street. Yeah. That's where you lose me. I very much love traffic laws. I've never had a speeding ticket in my life. Not a single one.
Really?
25 years? I've been driving over 20 years.
Come on. Dude. That's pretty incredible.
It is. Yeah. Because I really, really respect, safe. I don't want to die in a car accident.
No.
That's it. And I was so mad while that car was spinning.
This is not my fault.
When that 18-wheeler hit me, I was getting so mad. I really wasn't. But in my head, I was like, I'm not going to die like this. This is stupid. I was getting oh, you fucker. You truck.
Yeah.
All right.
I border on anarchy in some of my thinking. And I have a friend that moved to Thailand, and he teaches English over there in Thailand. And he said there's no traffic laws whatsoever. And it's chaos, but it's freedom in my opinion. A lot of rigid laws and regulations really infringe upon our liberties, in my personal opinion.
It causes stress.
And it causes more stress. A friend of mine's mom is constantly can't do that. You can't do that. I feel like you're not enjoying your existence because you're so focused on whether or not you're doing the right thing that you're not just relaxing and being a human being and being alive on the planet. That's kind of the only point, in my opinion. Again, all of this is just my perspective.
And that's very important, though, because not many people give their honest perspective because even what you just said, which I I understand it almost completely. I want to hear more on it. But if you were to say that to certain people, they'd be like, what? What are you talking? Like, you're a sociopath. What do you mean you don't follow the rules? What do you mean? Like, no, but I get it is about freedom. Yeah. I believe in our little talks over the past year or so, I feel we have this in common. It comes out, you just came out a bit. You believe in the spirit and the freedom of the individual. Like, go live life. Go do what you want. And don't hurt anyone in the process. Don't hurt anyone
is the biggest thing. That's the basic rule that you can follow. Is just don't infringe upon anyone else. That don't in any way harm anyone else. Like if you're doing that. So now if we bring that full circle to bank robbery.
Yes, please. Yeah.
So, please. I have been inside a bank during the commission of a bank robbery with a useless plastic firearm toy. Because it was never, the fear of harm is more powerful than actual harm. Like if you lead someone to believe that they might be in danger, that's the tool that you need. So it doesn't actually have to be real. The most lucrative bank robbery that we ever did was a square block of clay with a broken radar detector on it, with some tape around it and some wires. Boom. I walked in, I put it on the counter, I said, that's a bomb. Do what I say, or I'm going to blow up the bank. And the drive-through guy turned around while I was dealing with and handed me $5,000 in each hand and said, "Here you are, sir." So the power of having you believe that you might be in harm was the only thing that was important to me. Now, like actually, I didn't have any desire to harm anyone, obviously. So I would carry a plastic gun because in the commission of another robbery, when I was carrying a real gun, I had a double-barrel shotgun. And we were robbing a fuel station at a truck stop. And we went in, and I was usually like controlling the behind the counter staff and gathering the money. But we subbed some work to somebody that we knew from the neighborhood.
You say subcontractor.
We did. Like he wasn't like a direct involved. He wasn't like a direct part of my organization. He was just hired on for that particular gig because, again, it's like the movies you say, like he knows somebody who knows some inside information about how much money might be in this job and they want a cut of it. But like that's a real thing that you see in the movie. So they told us about the job. Now my job is to put the job together and execute the job. So we're inside the thing. He did the behind the counter and I did crowd control at the time. So it's a truck stop. It's a big open space. There's a diner connected. There's a convenience store connected. There's fuel playing. So we go in. We pick this spot that we go in. He goes behind the counter. I think because the window was small, like we traded positions and he could get through. He goes behind the counter. He's working on getting the money. I'm trying to keep an eye on the security guard and I look over there. The security guard like squirreled out. He took off. He was on the ground and he took off. So again, this is all happening pretty quick. And then a police car pulls up right here. Whoop. So right where that wall is, basically, there's a police car outside the window. So I said, "Hey, man, we got to go." So we cut like from where the fuel desk was through the convenience store, and the lady's on the phone. I'm yelling to her, "Put the phone down," and I run into the glasses rack, the sunglasses rack, and both barrels, boom, right into the ceiling. I said, "Holy shit!" I almost killed somebody. But then we get into the diner, and all like the correction officers that just left the shift from the local prison were having dinner in the diner, and they're running away from us. And I'm like, why are those law enforcement officers running away from us? Oh, it must be because I just fired both barrels. But I know the area, so I run. They run into the woods. And I'm like, that's so weird. And then I run around another way. We jump in the truck. And we take off and we get away. So that's when I really was like, okay, I don't want to accidentally kill somebody. You know what I mean? I don't want to ever actually harm anybody. I'm not a huge fan of guns. That's a whole nother story. We can talk about guns if we have time.
Dude, the stage is yours.
Yeah. So that's like when you talk about that's the contrast between the nature of my personality and the commission of robberies.
Were you the same person? Were you this person that I'm talking to right now before prison?
Probably. You know, I mean, I was inside the walls for solid 12, a little more, 12 and change, 12 years, 6 months, and then 6 months and a half. So it's hard to say that you can't go to some of these institutions and experience some of the things that you experience in those places and not change some. But I think no. Yes and no.
At your core, you were still the nice guy. If you're thinking like, whoa,
Yeah.
I don't want to hurt anyone.
Yeah.
And
That's
that's still
lucky.
very much you, but you need
think
money.
that-
You needed money.
Yeah, well, then again, that's what it comes down to. It comes down to our financial institutions and the way things are set up, and it's pretty complex. Obviously, it depends on what your status is. When you're born and who your parents are, what your future might hold, your genetics, your location, and all of that plays into, when you leave high school, what your financial future might be, how you do in school. All of that has a big part of. So I found myself in just a very working class kind of a situation. Like, I washed dishes when I was younger in a restaurant when I was like, at the time, I'm 47 now, so at the time when I was 13, 14, they would give you a job. They didn't care if you had like an application or a social security number. Wash the dishes, you know what I mean? Like, it was their attitude. So I did that. I worked in restaurants, and then I saw the potential to better my position from a dishwasher to like a line cook. I was like, I can do that. Just show me how to do it. So I did that for a little while. So I was just, it's not a huge amount of money, and they want a lot of your life.
It's a lot of time, a lot of effort, right?
So in my late teens and early 20s, I started to recognize that from where I was, the position that I was in, that I don't think that it's really set up very fairly. The way, how much, like, as a working, like a dishwasher or a line cook, they want, the system itself, in my mind, wants so much from me and wants to give me so little. Did I articulate it like that at the time? No. You know what I mean? But that's kind of what developed the perspective. And there was a lot of other influences, like, God.
How do you... there's the part that's missing. Line cook, bank robber. Because what did you graduate? How did you graduate to bank robbery?
There's I was just rebellious from a very young age. And I feel like, again, when I spoke earlier of how the situation that you're born into, and your genetic makeup affect the outcome of your existence. I was the child of two college students in Oklahoma that were not interested in being parents. So the day I was born, I was taken to an orphanage. And then 6 months later, some crazy people from New England that were like Christian evangelists decided they were going to adopt a bunch of kids. So that was their mission in life. So they came and adopted me. And my earliest memories of that experience it just was conflicting. I just didn't, as soon as I found out, like 8 years old, younger than my daughter is now, they said, oh, well, this is, why you're brown and we're white, and like kids in the neighborhood. So I was probably in 4th grade. So I just had this rebellious, don't want to sit still and pay attention attitudes, as long as I can remember. You know how in school, like, it's a pretty big requirement from a very young age to sit there, look here, listen here, and take in this stuff. That's what they expect of you. Very early age. That's
fucking
what they're
tough, man.
That's what they're honing you for.
For a lot of us, that is so hard.
It's so hard. And again, going back 40 years, 35 years, that was it, man. We pounded you into the shape that we needed you to be for us to put information into you, or you were broken. And that's how they kind of approached it. So, 4th grade, 5th grade, 6th grade, 7th grade, until I dropped out of high school, I did not really have a cohesive relationship with authority. That's a pretty artistic way to put it, right? I just really, I really rebelled, and then I was hammered with the Christianity. You know what I mean? Like,
So this was still you were still with that family.
Yeah.
Oh wow!
And then they were kind of the same way. They're like, "Oh, we adopted this children," and then they adopted them. They ended up adopting 9 children altogether, and then they had 1 child of their own. So there's 10 of us altogether. That's a whole thing. We could probably podcast the whole day on that.
That is. I have so many questions that I'll let that one go because that alone needs to be.
We can do like a Dan Killion podcast too.
For sure, man. You live right, you're right there.
So, I was just very rebellious, and then I guess retrospectively, I started to realize, like, when I do what I want to do sometimes, and the punishments are not more severe than I can tolerate.
Nothing scared you.
Yeah. I weighed my options more. As opposed to, like, my older sister was, like, super, like, in line. Like, wouldn't even consider. I was like, nah. And then a lot of the things that are real significant in my memories, we moved into a new neighborhood in 5th grade, into the suburbs of Woolkit, Connecticut. And we moved out of, like, a suburban, not so great neighborhood, right on the border, like where it was suburban, but there's some places in Troy like that. And so I was in 5th grade, starting a new school, and then we were pulling up they have Pop Warner football. I was like, I want to play football. You know what I mean? I'm 10 years old. Sports, cool. And I was absolutely not. They forbid me to play sports.
All sports?
Baseball, basketball I was allowed to play, but football was too rough. And now, I have to give her credit now with like the things that are going on in football now. I can't really argue, but again, they didn't really have any interest in sports, so they didn't really support my interest in sports. Like my dad, I never had any kind of positive relationship with the guy who decided to adopt all these children. It was a bad person. Like, did not do a good job parenting. Again, that's a whole thing. So would show up to like a baseball game and stand in the parking lot with his arms crossed like this, like, look, I'm here. You know what I mean? Like, that's not like encourage, like, yeah, good job. Like, no kind of like real encouragement. So I ended up hanging out with kids in the neighborhood that like drank beer and smoked pot and like would end up in either arrested or in a drug program, and like I wasn't like shooting heroin. I mean, I was smoking pot and drinking beers with my friends in the woods, but because they were so like the drugs and rock and roll is the devil, you know what I mean? Like wow. I would end up like put away. Like I spent more time growing up, or equal probably 50-50, like in some kind of drug rehab or juvenile place. So, just my interaction with the status quo, the people that were supposed to be guiding me in the direction of my life. So I didn't really finish high school. There was no chance. I hated school, so I didn't really have any chance of going to college. So that's kind of how I became rebellious. And we would sell weed and stuff like that at a young age. So we were criminals, low-level criminals. Yeah. But as far as society is concerned, criminals. So that's how, eventually I graduated to.
That's funny. I just saw a picture the other day because, now New York State allows the growth of medical marijuana. And I saw a picture of a place up in St. Lawrence County or wherever it was, up near Plattsburgh. And there was these 3 nice ladies that owned it and operated this place. And you walk into the building and it's just weed everywhere. Boxes and crates and containers and snipping and lights and shit and hydroponic and everything is so intricate. I look at that and I just start laughing. I'm like, we put people in jail for this.
For life. Like mandatory minimums was like one of the most horrible things in. Again, I listened to this band called Rage Against the Machine. You may have heard of them.
Come on, man. A
lot.
You won't do what you tell me. Right. Fuck you, I won't do what you tell me.
So I would say it was one of the most influential bands on my mind at the time because there was like, I grew up on, Led Zeppelin, Black Sabbath, Metallica, Pantera, rock bands, but then Rage Against the Machine came along and everybody's like, holy shit, like, it's just so different. And like political, during the Vietnam War and Black Panther, there was political music, but it was never like punch you in the face political music like Rage Against the Machine. So I had a band similar to that called Rebellious Nature was the name of the band. And it was just a heavy influence on my thinking that, you know, the system is not just, you know, it's not righteous, and I shouldn't have to really follow their rules. Again, odd things influence the way you have perspectives. So I had a girlfriend at the time. She had moved back to Connecticut from California, and we met at a restaurant, and we started dating a little bit, and we kind of were excited about being in love at, you know, 18, you know, it's a kind of a fun thing. And we decided to get a place together, and her family had moved back to California. She decided to stay. One day we come home, and there's like this vicious racist message on the answer machine, because her dad would hate black people. So the combination of like being so dramatically affected by a race, and we eventually broke up, you know, because obviously it's not gonna work. But the racial issues and then the rebelliousness and stuff kind of culminated to like, not only should I not have to follow rules, but these motherfuckers are my enemy. You know, like the federal government in general. When you think of the federal government or the government of the United States of America, when you think of how the United States of America got to be the biggest, greatest, strongest country in the world, whether you like to believe it or not, whether anybody likes to believe it or not, is because they enslaved millions of other human beings to build up, to process the massive resources that they took away from other people. This is a true history, right? I'm not making it up. They came in and said,
"We had slaves here.
Dope. We need to have this."
More. Oh,
when they came to Europe, when they got here from Europe, they're like, "There's a lot of shit here that we could use," and they said, "Indians out or slaves, your choice." And a lot of Native Americans were enslaved too, but a lot of people don't know that. But enslaved early.
It's also because we don't have any more Native Americans. Like,
right.
They're all dead.
Right.
Like, we killed like 95%,
95%. We said,
like dead.
We want this. You're in the way. We're taking it. And it was okay at the time, according to the laws. There was no law here other than the tribal law, and we just suppressed the tribal. We said, your law doesn't apply to us. So think about that. The Europeans that founded this country decided that the laws of the Native Americans don't matter because it doesn't coincide with how they think. So you just die. And now there's laws that govern our country that I have to follow. It's not far of a stretch from there to think, well, catch me if you can, motherfuckers, because I don't feel like I have to follow those laws. Like, I don't have, my moral compass is not telling me that it's necessary for me to follow those laws. I don't want to suffer consequences that if I get caught because you're bigger than I am. But as far as my moral perspective of climbing over a bank counter, I still don't have the sense that I shouldn't. I just don't want to go to prison again, you know what I mean? But, so that's
it is fun. I like how you say Europeans, because we don't say that enough. It was mostly Europeans that were the fucking slave owners. Like, they were first or second generation Americans. Mm-hmm. Like, barely. They were still really European. And it's like, fuck them Europeans. But it's so that's I feel we've totally divorced from our European predecessors, which is awesome, because they screw up and made it a lot of bullshit. But yeah, as far as like enslaving people, it's like, it's not that long ago that we were animals. Like, that was an animal mentality to think you can enslave someone and hurt them and force them to do things. Like millions of people.
Do you ever see the Birth of a Nation?
With that?
Did you ever see The Birth of the Nation?
I've seen like some of it, but I can't stomach it.
It's a tough film.
It's tough.
It's a tough film because they really did a great job of like how they simply treated the human beings like they were cattle. Like, this guy refused to eat anymore, so they just knocked his teeth out with a chisel, and they shoved a funnel in his mouth and were like force feeding him food because he was an asset, like a financial asset, so they couldn't have him die. Like, they literally had no opinion. When I see the stars and bars on the truck and people say, "Oh, it's heritage," it's not.
It's a shitty heritage.
I was like, yeah, dude, it's a heritage that you shouldn't be proud of.
Right. We agree. Okay. We agree. Dude, it's funny you say that today, because this morning on the way back from the gym, I saw this dumpy looking dork. I can only call him a dumpy looking dork because he was wearing a shirt, had the stars and bars on it. And I'm just like I feel bad for him in a way, because I'm like, oh, you're really dumb.
Yeah, and that's a lot of it.
And you don't realize how dumb you are, and you don't realize how ignorant you are. But thank you. When I see people wearing that on their car, it makes me good. I'm like, I don't have to be friends with you.
Right.
Like,
and then
we're not
I
gonna be
know
friends.
where you stand. Like those are the ones that don't scare me. The ones that have stars and bars on the back of your pickup. You don't really scare me because you probably don't even vote. And I know where you stand. So like you said, I don't have to be scared of you. It's the senators and the law enforcement officers that wear a badge that should say protect and serve somewhere on their on their uniform that, you know, have stars and bars in their living room. And those are the ones.
Or the father of the girl you were dating.
Right.
Like, that's who we have to be afraid of.
Yeah.
Kind of. Because there's a lot of those guys still.
Yeah.
Every day that... I've been saying this for years. Every day that an old person dies, the world gets a little bit nicer, I think. Because that old racism shit, I don't see it in our generation and younger. I know it's there. It's obviously still there because there's still always going to be angry, just people that just want to, it's the black guy's fault. It's these Mexicans. I mean, and it goes other ways too. Like, black guys hate white guys too.
Yeah, which is ridiculous to me too. I'll rail against that silly. Just quickly. The people who laid down their lives during the Civil War were fucking white people, man. You know what I mean? Like the federal government and Lincoln and them that decided you can't do this anymore. This is a horrific thing, and we're not going to abide it anymore. They were all white people, so you can't. It's not white people. It's
shitty people. That's it. And shitty people doesn't know culture. It doesn't. It's not exclusive to any one color of my body. Like, there's just shitty people everywhere. There's also amazing people everywhere.
Exactly.
Which is
the fight against the shittiness. So that's
what
you have to do is like be one of the
rage against the machine of shitty people.
Right. I was just listening to a radio program on my way over to the new spot where I can weld, and it was talking about how there's this new trend in America. It happened in an IHOP where a black girl was upset that they wanted to charge her 50 cents for a piece of plastic silverware, and she kind of like got upset and like just expressed herself. They called the cops, and she was ended up like forced to the ground and stuff like that. And there's a growing trend of like the white people that called the police on a group of black people that were barbecuing in the park, and the cops showed up, and like people were arrested and they weren't breaking any laws, and it wouldn't happen in reverse. You know, there's a trend lately of, you know, people feeling like the way the guy said it was very interesting to me, is that the law enforcement in a lot of ways is the stewardship of racist, you know, not all people, but people that are racist that decide, you know, those black people are bothering me, so I'm going to call the police on them, and the police show up and they automatically assume that they're up to something. There's this weird like undercurrent in our psychologies as Americans and as law enforcement. I think that the black people are probably doing something wrong. If the cops were called on them, then they're probably doing something wrong, and white people know it, you know. And not as much around here, but in these places in the South, where if I call the police on this group of black people that are just being louder than I'd like, there's a good chance that they're going to listen to me and not to them, because there's that undercurrent. It's still a pretty scary thing.
I think that could be shitty cops too, though. That's a big problem, because cops are just people, right? Like, people that get a job for whatever reason. Some go into it for the wrong fucking reasons. I'm sure you know.
I feel like a vast majority of them probably do.
I
think that the honest, very concerned individual that wants to help his community is the small portion of the police forces of America.
It's a very small portion of the population, I think, as a whole, because that's an incredibly stressful job.
Yeah. And it's not like you make a lot of money.
And like you said, like, you get called up and you just show up to something. You don't know what's going on. You have no idea who's up to what, but you know you're there. But I've seen like the good cops, because I know cops don't like paperwork too. They don't want to do shit, right? Like, they're just like the rest of us. Like, I just want to get through this day.
Right. So I'm only making $30,000
right
here.
So I've seen,
it's not a lot of money, really.
I've also heard and seen stories, you know, say like cops call on a group of dudes playing their music too loud or something. Hey guys, can you turn it down? And if they turn it down, it's cool. All right, good. I just want to go home. I don't want to have to arrest anybody. But then there's the ones who are out for people. Like, they're predators, right? Like, you call the cops? You're going to do exactly what the fuck I said. Yeah.
You can see it on their faces sometimes, just driving around that, like...
Dude, all right.
You know, I see a cop drive by and he's like...
Lighten
up, dude.
Yeah, it's because but they're fucking
they're
wound
geared
up, man.
They're wound up.
And I think part of it is most of them are chubby. Like, where are our like fit cops?
I feel like it should be more of a requirement. Like, if you're I was all upset about the parking tickets, and like we can go outside right now and they got somebody's car booted right outside this window. They're on a rampage with boots and tickets right now because they need to raise money. But there's a guy who drives around in a city truck who he struggles to get in and out of his truck because he's so out of shape. So, it seems like common sense to me to run a society. We're a society, a group of people trying to get along and run our environment. That's what the city's there for. We pay the taxes, and then they get a paycheck from the taxes. So we kind of pay for them to have that job, right? I feel like you should be the best you that you can be. Like, I want to be the best me that I can be. I don't smoke or drink. I exercise. I take care of my health because I want to be. You're getting paid to be the best you that you can be. Like, if you're a city employee or for any job, you shouldn't be like super overweight and smoking a ton of cigarettes because you. So I feel like the same applies for law enforcement. Like, you should be in good shape.
Do you know how we decrease the amount of like people that get shot by cops? If they're in better shape. Like, I see all these videos, these fat guys. They want to run. They don't run.
I can stop them with this.
They're physically inept. They're bullshit. They have no strength. They have no cardio. They're not confident in their bodies whatsoever. So they go for those fucking guns. Yeah. And that's a problem. And then they're scared. As soon as you pull out that gun, touch that gun, everybody gets scared, and that's going to lead to chaos.
And it turns intense.
Just so you know, FYI, in the next couple years, I'm going to run for mayor or governor or something. Right on. And one of my policies, for sure, this is not bullshit, is the police force, you guys need to get the fucking shape. Yeah. Like, it's a serious thing. Like, no, this is definitely. You are employees. We need to look like shape too. We need to inspire other people. Because if you see some in shape and walk around, like, show me some foot patrol cops. Where are those people? They
have a couple around here.
Not down there. They have them down here. Yeah. They don't have them 4, 5, 6 blocks down there.
Because they don't care. They just want to. Those areas are more about suppressing them or dealing with them when they act up. The law enforcement is really in place to protect the rich from uprisings of the poor,
which is important. But we need to raise everyone. Yeah, and those neighborhoods, 3 blocks that way, 5 to 20 blocks that way, whatever. We're all gonna win when they get better. We all win. Everyone wins if the high tide raises every boat. Yeah. Like, we need everyone to get better. So show me some cops walking around down there. Yeah. Because I live a little bit down there.
And how far down?
I live right near Washington Park. I live in a beautiful spot. But
south of the park or north of the park?
Closer to the river. Right next to the park. Like right in there. So I always forget. I always mess up my north and my south here.
Monroe. Because south is going north, away from downtown.
Little north.
And you're north.
Little north. But yeah, you go, if I'm walking my dog, whatever, I go 3, 4, 5 blocks down there. I'm Monroe. Like, come on, guy. Yeah. I'm like, come on, neighborhood. Like where that would be Mayor Doug. Mayor Doug would be like, there are cops walking around here saying hi to people, talking. Well, they're out jogging. They're getting in shape. Like, I would definitely set, like, you have to be, and whatever we use.
And there's precedences for that. You know what I mean?
There are. And they work. And instead of, like you said, like, cops only interacting with people when they have to go deal with them. They already know those people. They're already, like, their presence is like, you know me, hey, Officer John.
That's the precedence.
Hey, bud. Hey, Susan. Right. Like, you
rather than show up and kill a grandmother or drag an 80-year-old grandmother, drag her physically out of a car.
It's so gross.
They're not people to each other. You know what I mean? You're law enforcement and you're a problem. Like, you know, if you know the person, then you're not going to treat them like that. Definitely not. Yeah.
Even my bitch ass has been mistreated by cops. I'm like, why are you being such a dick? Like, I was trying to just, I don't know, whatever, explain whatever it was. It was actually like a border security stop when I lived up near the Canadian border. Yeah. And there was some bullshit, and I had like a weird wrong sticker on my register. Like, I didn't put the new sticker on or some bullshit. Right. And they call over the cops, called over the customs guy and the state trooper. This guy was just I was like, no, man, like, listen, this is what happened, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. And he didn't know his fucking job, by the way. My sticker actually really wasn't expired. Like, it says March 2015 or whatever it said. Yeah. And he's like, that means March 1st it expired. I was like, no, it's not. Like, that shit expires at the end of the month. He's like,
Yeah.
no. I'm like, dude, you're so wrong.
You're so wrong.
And he's like, I'm talking now. And I'm like, all right, okay.
That's the mentality.
That's
that
elevate,
I despise.
escalate. I'm like, why are we escalating this? Like, you don't even know your fucking job.
Their mentality is that you are required to comply. You're not a person.
That's tough.
But you need
tough
to
for me to
comply.
swallow.
And but it shouldn't be that. It shouldn't be that. And when we talk about them being healthy, they need to not only be physically healthy, in my opinion, but mentally and emotionally healthy. And that requires them to be in this mindset that they're not like the law, but they're the stewardship of harmony. You know, I mean, they're not there to enforce as much as they are to, you know, make sure that things go well and that things are resolved well. That's why we end up with so many people shot, because they just have this, do what I say, and if you're not complying, then I'm going to deal with you. And that's just not.
It's problem solving is not the mentality. You're right. Like, they see a problem. I mean, some cliches work sometimes. If you're a hammer, everything looks like a nail, right? And every cop, they kind of give you that you are a hammer. You have a gun, you have authority, you have like pound fucking nails, man. Yeah. Like, don't worry if it goes in crooked. Like, just fucking pound it. Yeah. Who cares? And just walk away and go about your day and try to get rid of that problem as fast as you can. But
I have this conversation with myself in my own head where I see a cop and I'm like, I fucking hate cops. But I don't. You know what I mean? Because the cops are people, you know? That's just a quick, glib way to describe how I feel. But what I feel like is we've become too willing to allow ourselves to be in a police state, you know, where the cops just have this air, or the police have this air about them that are, you know, that we're here running the show and you better, you know, not step out of line or else.
And there's many ways to unpack that. And yeah, we want to think that they're so competent and so able to take care of themselves. Look what happened with the Parkland shooting like a couple months ago. Yeah. The cops are just waiting outside.
Yeah.
Like,
wait,
I'm supposed to. I'm kind of with you on guns. Like, I wish I didn't have to have. I don't have a gun anymore since I moved to New York from Florida. I kind of miss my gun. I'm probably gonna get a double barrel shotgun as a nice easy one. But I do miss my pistol.
Yeah.
And I think. Whenever I hear people like, get rid of guns, no more guns, and these New York laws are so fucking tight, I'm like, but I have to trust those guys? Yeah. Like, those guys, we say we have to trust the cops. I have to trust those.
We're on the same page because
I trust me.
Right.
I would trust you.
Well, you shouldn't trust me. Gun laws are in place for guys like me not to have
guns. But I mean trust. Like, no.
Like,
I know you can't touch a gun. You can't even sniff a gun.
Sniff a gun.
Yeah. But I can trust you as a person.
Right.
Like, if something goes down,
that's what scares me more than anything. Is like, I'm not a gun nut or a really enthusiast. I have a problem with guns because I get a gun in my hand and I love the sense of the power. It's trouble for me, right?
Well, it's real. No, everyone has that.
Right.
Guns are fun.
Right.
They are fun.
But it terrifies me to do away with guns because they're not talking about banning guns and having them carry billy clubs like they used to in England, where they didn't even have guns, so it wasn't a problem. They're talking about citizens not having guns, but them. You know, Albany has a tank. Albany has a tank, like a armored vehicle, so that if they feel like things get out of hand in the city, they can drive it into the city, and it's like a tank. What do they need a tank for? It's crazy the amount of firepower that they have and continue to have.
Who are they fighting?
Exactly.
Us? Me and you?
No. So that's what scares me about guns is that you can't do away with guns.
No, and I think it goes back to individualism and really just honoring the person, the individual, and that's why I love the First and Second Amendment so much. Mm-hmm. First Amendment, say whatever the fuck you want to say, and nobody can do shit about it.
And I believe that too. Wear the stars and bars if you want. I would never ever
do that.
Say banned it. Never, because I believe in that amendment to the core of my being. Like, say what you feel.
Do it. Yeah, do it. Absolutely do it. So all of us can see it. Exactly. Because when we see it, we could all be like, you're not going to do so well in life.
Right.
If you keep that mentality up, like, And then it's the same thing with guns. It's like, protect yourself. Like this, like you are nothing but your thoughts, your speech, and your body. That's if we're boiling it down, very base level. That's what we are. You have to be able to say what you want and express your thoughts and not worry about them. And you also got to be able to protect yourself and not have to count on someone else to protect you. So that's where I love the Second Amendment. And I'm like, yeah, give more people guns. Just increase the level of personal responsibility.
When they started having conversations about armed teachers, I was like, fucking finally somebody's paying attention, because I've been saying that for the longest time. Here's how I defined it this way after Klebold and Harris. That these individuals, what's going on in their minds is that they're looking for a sense of power. They feel like their power's been taken away, that they've been lessened, and they're angry. And so between the anger and the sense of power, killing people like it's a video game makes them feel very powerful, and it expresses their anger. But they only pick soft targets. You don't hear about state trooper like where two guys ran up on a police station and started shooting. It's not a soft target. They know that there's going to be direct, they're going to stand directly against it. So they choose schools because they're soft targets. If they don't perceive it as a soft target, then they're not going to go to a school. It's a simple equation. If they know that the math teacher might shoot them before they get through the door, then they're going to be less enthusiastic about using the soft targets. It's a soft target issue. So if
in my high school, late 90s, my high school is very, very mixed. My entire life has been black, white, Puerto Ricans, Mexicans, everyone. And my high school was very 50% white and then 30% black. It was very, very mixed. And occasionally we'd have some beefs between the blacks and the white. That's just part of it. Your
it's
teenage
part of
boys.
Humanity, you know what I mean? It
is.
Even in tribal things, blacks and blacks, you know what I mean? There's
tribes.
There's tribes.
Especially men. You and your
teenage
men.
Teenage
boy,
oh
you're
my
aggressive.
God, it's the worst. Rumbles at the mall, man.
Yeah, for real. They're real. They happen. And I get it. And I get it.
Yeah, it's
on a side note, it does bother me when I meet a man who's never been in a fist fight. That does bother me. I'm sure you've been in a fight. I'm sure. Let's just not even broach that. But it does bother me when I'm like, who are you? What planet have you been on? I've been in 10 fights in my life. I've hated all of them. But I don't like fighting. Okay. But anyways, my school, at that time, there was an uptick. There was groups of whites, the groups of blacks, there was beef. And teachers knew, everyone knew. How do we solve that? We hired 2 police officers to patrol the hall. They were there for a month or 2. Yeah. Nothing. It totally calmed down. Yeah. Just because the presence. I was like, all right, guys, we don't want... That guy's going to take us out if we try to do anything. Nothing happened because of that. And that's just one anecdote. Do you know that was a Pulse nightclub in Orlando? That dude who went and shot up, killed 50 people.
Homophobic guy?
That's kind of the...
Was it that?
That was the way the story was told, but it was just in the past month or 2 they re-released some new more information about it, their full investigation. And one of the investigations, it showed that this dude drove around to other places that he wanted to shoot up. They had armed guards, so he kept going. Another place, I forget the whatever they were, a theater or something, and he saw armed guards there. Went to another place, saw armed guards. Went to the club, saw no armed guards. I'm gonna go fucking kill them. So it wasn't even so much that they were homophobic. They just it was a soft target. He was out there killing gays and everything because they were gay. No, there's not so much. There was the other one, there's a lot of these. But there's another one happened in California, some Jewish center several years ago, that the dude, I think he was just looking to kill Jews. Yeah. But so he went to one, I always forget the temple. I was the Jewish temple. Synagogue, temple. Are they the same? I think they are. I think they're kind of using interchangeably.
Mosque, church, synagogue.
Yeah. Sure. He drove.
I don't go there.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. A building with people going on. Yeah. All right. So he drove by one. They had an armed guard at this synagogue. Drove by another place. There was another armed guard. Went to the Jewish community. I think it was a shooting at the Jewish community center. Went to the community center. There was no armed guard. He went in there and he killed people. killed a lot of Jews.
So that's what it's mostly about, though.
That's what it.
Me
So
being in the position of the most power. That's really what it's about, and that's I think the psychology of it. Why they do it. Is
and I mean, I hate to say in the mind of a criminal, but you're not like a sociopath. But you can understand how someone would see like you never wanted to go to jail, so you rob the easiest banks, right? Like if people's objective is to kill as many people as possible, they're gonna go to the easiest places.
Right. Yeah.
How'd you make this fucking clay bomb, man? Like whose idea was that?
It was mine.
Were you crowd control because you're the biggest and you can be intimidating?
No, I wasn't usually crowd control. I was usually doing the action.
You this, you that. Let's get out. Let's get in.
It was just crowd control because I didn't trust him as much as I trusted myself to execute the operation. Does that make sense?
Totally. Do you love Heat, the movie Heat?
Oh my god!
Because
I just watched it 2 weeks ago.
No, you didn't.
Yeah, I did. That's why it's on Netflix. And you can't get it anywhere else. I'll watch movies on YouTube sometimes, a movie that I've seen before that I want to see again, or and it's $3 or something. So I have an account on YouTube, and I just say I want to watch this, and they're like, all right, it'll be $3 to rent this, and then I'll rent it and for $3, and watch it in the convenience of my living room. I don't have to go to Redbox or anything. I love that. But they don't have Heat on there. But then I got Netflix and it was on there. I was like, I'm definitely watching this.
All right, good. That's good to know because I haven't noticed it on Netflix.
The best scene of all time in any bank robbery movie, and Point Break was the movie. So we were snowboarders, and we just wanted to go to Vermont every day and snowboard all winter long. We wanted endless summer. We just wanted to be on our snowboards all the time, and we didn't want to have jobs. So the movie Point Break came out, and we were like, dude. Brody's little speech about how people living in cubicles are just not even alive. But
did that inspire you? Was
Point
that
Break was
that's pre-bank robbery? Did that plant the seed?
Oh, definitely.
They're like, I could do that.
Yeah.
I think like those guys.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Definitely.
Keanu Reeves fucking put you away for 12 years in a box.
Patrick Swayze, actually.
Oh, then why'd I say Keanu? Oh,
Keanu was the cop.
The cop. Okay, yeah, Patrick. Okay, yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
So you this is what your group of snowboarders.
Yeah.
All right. We don't.
And then we were talking about the fake bomb was just clay. It was just anything you say is a bomb to the general public. They're gonna believe it's a bomb. You know what I mean? Especially in this day and age, it's scary. But
all right, so no more bank robbing.
No more bank robbing.
Do you want to wrap this up? You got work to do, tables to make.
Yeah. I gotta get back to work.
All right, because we could keep going. I know.
We should do it in installments.
We should because I have so many questions for you to unpack. So many questions.
If you have more questions this about specific things, we can go a little longer. If you like.
Well, let's go a little longer, maybe 5-10 minutes. Yeah. Because my questions. layer.
And I go
and you are the perfect person to ask the questions of because you take me on rides. I don't even know what to segue to because I was just taking a lot of that in.
We were talking about the how we came up with the idea for the fake bomb, and then how effective it was, and where the idea came and the crowd control.
How did it make you feel to know that you were scaring people?
It just didn't factor in, it wasn't getting the money was my only concern, and I really actually, like I said, when I accidentally fired the firearm, I was actually very adamant about not harming anyone. We didn't want, we just want the money. That's a real thing. Don't get hurt. Don't do anything wrong. We don't want to hurt you. We just want the money. That was the real perspective. So I never really got excited about people being afraid or anything like that.
Did it bother you?
A little. A girl showed up at my sentencing and said, and I've made jokes about it, and I probably shouldn't have.
No, you should definitely make jokes about things you shouldn't joke about. You should definitally do that.
She peed her pants, and I was like, well, stop being such a wimp. Come on. She had nightmares still. And to me, I was flipping about it because I was I wasn't really gonna hurt anyone. You know what I mean? It's not that serious.
Yeah, but you can't. Yeah, it's hard to picture why somebody would be so scared they would pee their pants. It's relax, but you get that those are real people. That's
Yeah, dude.
That really happen. There are people that really just get fucking scared and don't know how to deal with it.
In general, there's people that are just scared of the world around them all the time. I run into people all the time like,
and then you hit their brains with a, fuck,
afraid?
the guy is robbing this place. And their body just quits. The body just quits on them. What was the robbery that did you in?
We never got caught at a robbery. Like and I don't know if I ever would have been. We got caught because we were sloppy in our lifestyle. You know, we were still, again, like I've been years now that I don't smoke weed, I don't drink alcohol, I don't ever alter my state of mind. I deal with reality as it is, and I, make my decisions on how to behave based on that. But at the time, we would regularly take massive amounts of hallucinogenics, LSD, psychedelic mushrooms, stayed smoking weed. We would wake up and do remember the graphics 4-foot bongs?
I'll take your word.
So they used to have these
the big ones that went to the floor.
And it had a clown face on it. It had a clown with a gesture hat on it. It was called Graphics. Was the company?
I don't know.
Floor, bong hits, and then we would do grain alcohol and Sunny Delight for breakfast every day. We were wasted every day. So if we weren't doing a robbery that day, that was what was on the agenda. It was find some chicks, get wasted, and then hang out until we were getting low on money. Then we'd have to plan a robbery. But most of our life was just skateboard, snowboard, goof off. So we would have parties and we'd have girls around. A girl kind of caught on to damn, you guys got all this. You got stacks of money in your pockets and you don't have jobs and what? So she kind of caught on to what we were up to, and then she got caught doing something else, and then that's what she kind of said.
Narked on you.
Yeah, and then. So we knew I was dating this girl, and there was a group of girls that knew each other, and the girl that I was dating kind of knew those girls but wasn't with them. So they wanted to talk to the girl that I was dating. I actually drove her into the town where she needed to go. She got out of the car, walked around a couple blocks away, went and talked to the FBI for 2 hours. Said, I don't know where Danny is. He moved to Florida. I think he moved to Vermont or something like that. Blah, blah, blah. I haven't seen him in a long time. Blah, blah, blah. And then she came out and told me everything that they were telling her, asking her. So we planned another bank robbery, and we're going to move to Florida. But she was sad. She's like, I can't go to Florida. My family's here, so I'm probably not going to see you anymore. I said, no. I said, well, let's go do something nice for the day. And we got caught that day. The next day, we were at the beach, and we left the beach, and we pulled to get gas. The girl and one of the kids I was working with were at the car. He was just checking the fluids in the car, or whatever, the oil, and putting gas in the car. And she was just in the car, and I was on the phone. I was about to buy a boat, and we were gonna burn the car, get on and have a boat. We had probably $25,000 between the two of us. We're gonna buy the boat for $5,000, and then just cruise up and down the coast, park the boat, go down to Florida, park the boat, hang out, come off the boat, rob a couple banks, get back on the boat, go up to Virginia. We're just gonna up and down the coast. And a guy on a mountain bike came by and ran the plate, and then and because the girl had ratted us out and said, "Oh, they were looking for us, armed and dangerous." Wow. And we had always had a vow that we weren't going to be taken alive. We had so the girl that I was dating, and this is where some of the regrets that I have in my behavior, I was like, damn, you were too wild. She had a small child, that wasn't my child, that she would bring him around. He was probably 2 years old, and he was in the backseat of the car. And so I saw the cops coming. I hung up the phone, and the kid that I was working with was going into his backpack to get his pistol out. And I had a pistol right here in my hand. I was reaching for my pistol, and I looked through the window of the car, and the 2-year-old was just looking at me and he was wringing his fingers and shit. And I just fuck, dude, I can't start a shootout. And we would have lost the fight. It was definitely a suicide by cop pact. And I'm looking at this kid and he's looking at me, and then I'm going for my pistol, and then a cop's got a gun in the back of my head before I can pull it out and shoot. But the kid saved our lives because I was oh man, if he gets hit with a straight bullet. So that's how that went down.
This concludes installment 1 of Danny Killion. Great talk, man.
Thanks, man.
All right. Go do something else. This was a lot of fun. Woo, I love